Hey guys, what is up? It is Austin here, bringing you guys another episode of the podcast. We're on episode 3, on to week 4 of the NFL. Man, I'll tell you what, week 3, it humbled me. It really did humble me in multiple ways. It humbled me as a Bengals fan and it humbled me as a football fan in general because there were so many games that I picked that I just flat out got wrong that I thought 100% for certain I was going to get right. I thought for sure the Falcons were going to beat the Panthers. They lost 30-0. I thought the Bengals would upset the Vikings. They lost 48-10. It was a pretty up and down week in terms of picks. I picked the Rams. They lost because of 2 blocked field goals in one game. It was a crazy week. So chances are, if you're a fan, you were either upset or you had a thrilling victory just watching football last week. But on today's episode, I got a couple of reactions for week 3 of the NFL, and then we're going to predict week 4 as we usually do, just predicting the next week. And we're just going to get right into it, man. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the Vikings beating the Bengals. I believe it was 48-10, the worst loss in Bengals franchise history. And it's funny in a way because I vividly remember reading on Twitter, there's so many people, and Twitter, a lot of the takes on Twitter are unserious. People are just there to troll. But there was a lot of takes. People have this weird obsession thinking that Jake Browning is like the second coming of Jesus Christ, or that, he clears Joe Burrow. There are people who actually say that and genuinely believe that Jake Browning is a better player than Joe Burrow. And I think we saw today I think we saw that's not true. Now, obviously, the whole game doesn't fall on Jake Browning, and I think Jake Browning is still like an average backup, but I will say I'm seeing some concerning trends because in the preseason, he did not look good either. He did not look good in the preseason. He looked against Jacksonville. He had a couple lucky plays go his way, a couple decent solid throws, and then against the Vikings, man, he was horrendous. The entire team was horrendous, but honestly, Jake Browning was missing throws left and right. His first pick, or his only pick six, I would say his first interception, but his pick six, Jamar Chase is running wide open in the middle of the field, and he decides to force the ball to Chase Brown. That does get tipped, gets taken back for a pick six. He had another pick at one point where I don't even know what he was seeing on the field. He just threw it straight to the defenders. And I believe we had 6 fumbles. Only 3 of them were recovered. I say only, but I mean, there you go. That's why you lose the game. You have 5 turnovers right there, but 6 fumbles altogether. No one can hang on to the ball. And I think it just looked as if the team had given up. I don't want to call them quitters, but it just seemed like, they walked in the game like, we don't got Joe Burrow. We got 0 chance at the season. Is pretty much what it felt like they all did because nobody was trying. Chase Brown was horrendous. The offensive line was a joke. Jake Browning's missing receivers left and right. Jamar Chase is fumbling. Noah Fant's fumbling. The defense is so unserious. I'll give them credit. They actually started the game pretty okay. Although, first drive of the game, they allowed a long drive for points, but they were keeping it close in the first half until, the things just spiraled out of control. They can't control the pick six. They can't control the 6 fumbles that we lost, or the 6 fumbles we had, the 3 we lost. The defense tried, and then obviously they fell apart. But, it's against Carson Wentz, and I get it. Carson Wentz is a veteran. He was an MVP candidate at one point in time, but, this loss should not have been that bad. It should not have been that bad. And I know a lot of people are calling on Zach Taylor to get fired, but to be honest, I don't really blame Zach Taylor for that game. He calls the plays. His players need to execute. No one executed. They couldn't block a stunt. They couldn't block a 4-man pressure. They couldn't block shit. They couldn't do anything. Jake Browning's throwing it to the other team when there's not a receiver in sight. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. And, obviously it's the coach's job to make sure the players are ready to play. But, the players didn't play. They did not play. They came in and they just looked like they were coasting. They just didn't care. So it was rough. I know Chase Browning had some choice words to people after the game. He said something like, fuck what everybody's saying, which, okay, bro. But, go out there, and if you're going to talk shit, you better go back it up, which they are currently not doing. They are playing pretty horribly. And now they got to play Denver on Monday night. I believe the game's in Denver. So, I said this last night, but Jake Browning might throw 7 interceptions by halftime. Genuinely, it's going to be bad. As a Bengals fan, obviously I'm rooting for my team to win. I'm going to pick them to win every single week. You know me, all 17 regular season games, I'm picking Cincy. We could be trotting out fucking Nathan Peterman as our starting quarterback. I'm going to choose Cincy. But I'm also honest. their shit right now. It was disgusting to watch. It was the worst loss in franchise history. It was one of the worst games to watch in franchise history. I've been watching every single Bengals game since I was 9, 10 years old. I'm 24. And that was the worst ass beating I've seen in 15, 14 years, man. It was difficult. But yeah, we are not one of the 3-0 teams. There's still a couple 3-0 teams. We have, the juggernauts like, you got Buffalo, and then you have Tampa Bay, which I would consider a juggernaut. Baker's proved that he is reliable when you need him the most. The only kind of interesting 3-0 team I think is the Colts, because the Colts, going into the year, I wasn't that high on them. Everyone was thinking they were going to be like a 5-win team. They're 3-0 with Daniel Jones. Jonathan Taylor looks amazing. Shane Steichen is coaching himself to an extension. That man is one of the best coaches in the league. He does not deserve to be fired, man. I know he was on the hot seat coming into this year, but did you see his quarterbacks? He had Anthony Richardson, a guy who can't even complete 50% of his passes most of the time. And then before that, I mean, he had, I think, did he coach the Carson Wentz year? I think he did, but he didn't have much. And now that he has a just average, I think Daniel Jones is the definition of average, but you put him in a good situation with good receivers, an elite running back, an elite offensive line. I mean, looks like he's playing like a top 5 quarterback. So the Colts are dangerous, man. I don't think they're going to win a championship because I just don't see Daniel Jones winning you a title, because I think in playoff time, there's going to be those high leverage moments where Daniel Jones has no choice but to put the team on his back. I don't think he can do that like the other quarterbacks can. But I think they're going to win that division. The Texans are 0-3 and one of the biggest disappointments of this year. The Jaguars are a very fraudulent 2-1. Ironically enough, their one loss was to us, and it was a blown lead. But they beat the Texans in a game they should have lost. And then, the Panthers, I don't, buy into that win. So the Jaguars are 2-1, and then the Titans are also 0-3. So that division's just in a rough spot. But one of the games I did want to talk about was the Lions and the Ravens, man. That game was intense. Now, again, it's really funny to hear Ravens fans crash out over how Lamar's playing amazingly and they're still losing, when all of last year, we all got shit as Bengals fans. Joe Burrow got so much shit because he was playing at this god level that, barely any other quarterbacks have played up to. And he was putting up stats that no quarterback lost with, and we were losing. And they said wins and losses are all that matter. Joe Burrow's part of the problem. Now that they're 1-2 and they're playing another 1-2 team, they could go down to 1-3. Now that they're struggling and they're putting up insane amount of points and losing, now it's it's not Lamar's fault. No issue at all with Lamar. And here's the thing: is it Lamar's fault? Am I honestly speaking? Do I think Lamar is part of the blame? Fuck no. He's played great. Lamar is not a part of the problem right now in Baltimore. It's obviously their defense. I just think it's funny they're in the same situation we were last year, and they're just 180ing on their opinions on the quarterback. So I just think that's interesting. But, man, the Lions, it was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. I had Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy. He saved me in one of my leagues, so I was at least a winner in one of them. David Montgomery, fucking amazing. I don't think he's going to have another game like that immediately after, but he was fantastic. I mean, just that whole game was great. It gave me something to watch at work. I mean, Jared Goff was lighting it up, man. It was a thing of beauty. But interestingly enough, I've said all this about the North. I've said all these things about Cincinnati, and Cincinnati being like a joke, an embarrassment of a team, and Baltimore has been underperforming. Cincinnati's still in first place of the division. They are still first place of it. Technically, we control our own destiny. Obviously, that could change with this game against Denver, because I think we're going to get fucking destroyed. And then I think I don't know if it's the week after, but a couple games after that, we play Green Bay in Green Bay. Yeah, it's going to be rough. It is going to be rough for a while. But I'm just savoring the first place right now. We're technically tied with Pittsburgh, but we have a division win. They do not. They beat the Jets, and then they beat someone. I don't even remember who the other one was. I know they lost to the Seahawks. But they play Minnesota, which I don't know if they're going to beat Minnesota. Because, Minnesota, their defense is amazing. Do I think Aaron Rodgers and that team, do I think the Steelers are going to make that many turnovers? No. As much as I hate them, the Steelers are a very disciplined team. I don't see Mike Tomlin and that team. Mike Tomlin's going to have them ready to play. He's not Zach Taylor. Let's just be honest. He's better than Zach Taylor. So I think they're going to play well. But we'll get to that prediction when we get to it. But, yeah, Cincinnati's in the lead of the division at the moment. Thank you, Joe Burrow, for keeping us in it when you could. It's weird, man. It's weird because, as a Bengals fan, I'm at that point where I'm like, Joe Burrow's injured. We just got blown out by 38 points when we looked like shit while doing it. We have the worst offensive football, or we have the worst offensive football. We have the worst rushing attack in football, and it looks like we have one of the worst quarterbacks in football, who's thrown, what was it, 5 interceptions in 6 quarters. And it was just funny because all I heard from all these other film experts on the NFL, like, Jake Browning is just as accurate and just as good as Joe Burrow, and he's just as good. Their offense will have no fall off. And Joe Burrow threw 9 picks in all of last year. Jake Browning has 5, and he's played a game and a half. Like, it's just crazy. That narrative pisses me off to the nth degree, because I've seen certain fucking, people out there that will, like, just openly bash Burrow, and they openly say Jake Browning was better, and now he plays like shit, and everyone's like, see? Like, Jake Browning sucks. I'm like, you don't get to say that. You don't get to say that. It's just the 180s that I've seen on the Bengals are crazy in recent times. And I got to be honest, the fan base is pretty annoying too about it. I'm part of the fan base. I love the Bengals. I love, like, half of our fan base. The other half is a little concerning because they say some wild stuff, and it's just, man, it can be exhausting sometimes. But on to the picks for this week. There's some interesting games, but I'm not going to lie. I think there were, like, last week had some better games, but there are a couple decent ones this week for sure. Starting off tonight, the day that I'm recording this, we have the Seahawks at the Cardinals. And that game's tough because the Cardinals, they're a team that I feel like they're just above average. They're not great. They're not even, like, sensational. I don't even know if I'd say they're good, but they're better than average, right? They're above average. I think they could be a sneaky wild card team. But the Seahawks defense has been a thing of beauty to watch. I think they're going to have Kyler Murray in hell. Now, the Cardinals are at home. Maybe they pull out this win. I kind of hope they do. But my pick is the Seahawks. I think Sam Darnold's played better than I thought he would. And, their defense is just insane. Mike McDonald, since he's been there, I mean, he's turned their defense into, like, one of the most fearsome defenses in the NFL. But next we have the Ireland game, Vikings at Steelers, even though, it's not a home game, it's in Ireland. I would love for the Vikings to win this. I really would. Something tells me that Pittsburgh's going to win. They always pull out those close games that they should lose. It feels like, sorry, couldn't control that. But I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this one. Aaron Rodgers. I will say Rodgers looked like shit last week. He's looked like shit outside of the first game of the season. And it's funny because, I said before the season started, Aaron Rodgers, I think he's washed. I don't think he's nearly as good as he was, and I think he deserves a lot more blame for what happened with the Jets. He was just not good in his last season there. He put up some really good numbers in the last 3 games in the season when they were out of the playoffs. But, aside from that, I didn't think he was that good, and people gave me so much flack for it. But, I think he is bad. That being said, I'm taking the Steelers to win because the Steelers always play quality level football even when they have below average players. I mean, they were winning games with Russell Wilson, Mason Rudolph. I remember when they had Duck Hodges a couple years ago and he was winning a couple games. So give me the Steelers in that. Next we have Commanders at Falcons. And honestly, this is a game where, without context, if you just told me Jane Daniels is injured, he might not be starting. The Falcons are at home, and you just read me the rosters, I would say the Falcons, like, straight up. But after what I saw last week, Michael Penix Jr. looked terrible against the Panthers. I mean, he just looked awful. And then you have, Marcus Mariota, who looked great, coming in for the Commanders. So I'm going to go with the Commanders. They have the weapons. They still have Terry McLaurin. They have Deebo Samuel. Although I will say McLaurin's injury is scaring me as someone who has him in fantasy. I'm a little worried because apparently he went to get a second opinion for a quad injury. And I'm hoping he's okay. Plus, I love Terry McLaurin. He's an Ohio State guy. I'm always going to pull for him. Now we got Chargers at Giants. This will be Jackson Dart's first start, and I think it's honestly brutal. The quarterback change, I do not get it. I don't know why you'd go to Jackson Dart over Russell Wilson, especially in a game of this magnitude. I would go for Russell Wilson. The Chargers defense is going to have that man in hell all day. So give me Jackson Dart. Next next up we got the Titans at the Texans, which, if you asked me this, before, I would say this would be a blowout win for the Texans because, they got C.J. Stroud and they got Nico Collins, and I like DeMeco Ryans as a coach. Sorry, I got shit falling over. But, the way they've been playing, they looked like shit. Like, they have looked bad. Their offense is not just sus, it's scary, like how bad it really is. So I'm not picking the Titans. You know, the Titans have looked worse, but I'm just saying if the Texans lose this game, like I know they're already like in a very like win now mode. They're 0-3, but if you drop to 0-4 and the Titans beat you on the road, and you know while you're at home, that's very because I'm not saying D'Amico Ryan should be fired. I'm saying C.J. Stroud, what the fuck is up, man? I'm still a believer. I'm still a C.J. Stroud guy. He will get it together. But fuck, man, it's scary watching him play these first couple weeks. He has looked bad. Like, there's no way around it. I love him, but I can't make excuses for him. He has looked bad, like one of the worst quarterbacks in football. But I think he will bounce back. The Texans are going to get to 1-3. They're going to salvage a bit of their season, and I think they'll be better in the middle section of the season. Now, down the road, could they fall apart? Definitely, but I just think D'Amico Ryans is too good of a coach. That defense is too good. They're going to have Cam Ward in hell, and C.J. Stroud is just going to need to make a couple good high-level throws in this game against the Titans. I mean, you can get a touchdown, Nico Collins, you know, like Jalen Noel, anybody. You could do it, CJ. I believe in you. So give me the Texans to win at home over the Titans. Next, we have the Eagles and the Buccaneers. God, I picked against the Eagles last week, and I'm telling you, the football gods punished me for that with those 2 blocked kicks. When I saw the last one blocked and returned for a touchdown, I was so mad. I'm going to be honest, I hate watching the Eagles. If you're an Eagles fan, you're watching this, I understand if you'd hate me for saying that. I would too, especially if my team just won a Super Bowl and some random podcaster said they hated watching them. I'd be like, fuck this guy. But I hate watching the Eagles play. They are so boring. And I used to love the Eagles. When I was a kid, the Eagles were my second favorite team because they had Michael Vick, which is crazy. I know. Just saying that with his past, I know. But I loved watching Michael Vick. I loved watching Jeremy Maclin. I loved watching LaShawn McCoy. I love watching Deshaun Jackson. Like, their offense now is the polar opposite of what it was when I first started watching them. And it's just that they're boring. They are boring to watch. They win. They win, though. So, that being said, I'm going to pick them to beat the Buccaneers. It's a battle of 2 3-0 teams. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel like that defense is going to have Baker Mayfield in hell, especially with that offensive line being as injured as it is. I think Baker throws his first couple picks this year. I think it's a 2-interception game for Baker. And I think the Eagles go on the road and win. That being said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Bucs win. But that's my unbiased pick for that. Now, Panthers at Patriots. I know the Panthers just won 30-0 against the Falcons, but I still don't believe in them. Bryce Young didn't look that great. He had a rushing touchdown. They had a win. I'll give him credit. I'm happy as a Bryce Young guy. But going on the road in New England, I think Christian Gonzalez is playing, and Drake May has looked really good. I was a bit of a Drake May doubter, and I've been wrong. Drake May has looked really solid, so give me the Patriots to not upset the Panthers, but give me the Patriots to hold on at home. Please get Kayshon Boutte going. I need it to. I got him in fantasy. I made a trade. Don't make me look dumb. Please. Please, Patriots. Kayshon Boutte, please have a game. Saints at Bills. Come on. This is like the lock of the week, in my opinion. What's funny is I said that last week about Green Bay and the Browns. But Saints at Bills, the Bills are going to just destroy Spencer Rattler. I feel bad because Spencer Rattler, I think, has really good upside. He has good potential. He's just stuck on one of the worst teams in football, probably the worst team in football. Give me the Bills to beat the Saints. I got the Bills winning that, especially at home. That should be rough. Now, Browns at Lions. The Browns just had an insane defensive performance against the Packers. And I know I didn't talk about that much at the top of the show, which is what I was thinking about doing. I probably should have opened up talking about them because that was like the shock of the week. Everyone picked the Packers as locks. I picked the Packers as locks. But the Browns defense, man, they are here to play. They made life hell for Joe Burrow. They made life hell for Derrick Henry. And they made life hell for Jordan Love, man. They were on Jordan Love's ass all game. And Josh Jacobs. So I'm definitely taking the Lions to win this at home, especially after how I've seen the Lions play the last couple weeks. But I would not be surprised if the Browns blow up that offensive line. The only thing is that the Lions, they're so creative on offense. They look like they haven't lost a step losing Ben Johnson, which is crazy. I mean, they're not doing as many like crazy trick plays. They did do one to get a 4th down conversion, and you know they had some really good ones when they played the Ravens, but their offense looks like it hasn't lost a step aside from that Green Bay game. And by the way, Green Bay made the Browns' offense look like shit too. But give me the Lions at home. But the Browns got to respect that defense. Myles Garrett, elite. Mason Graham, really good. Like, they are playing insanely great levels of football. And their secondary, don't even get me started. Jaguars at 49ers. Give me the Niners. Give me the Niners in this game. I was thinking about it for a second, but I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play. But Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, I still think they win this game. They're not getting back Brandon Ayuk. I read a report that I think he's out for the season. Kittle's still injured, but the Jaguars' offense is fraudulent as hell, and I don't trust their defense. And Mac Jones showed that he can still put up yards with, pieces missing around him, just like Brock Purdy. So I really think the fall off from Brock Purdy to Mac Jones is not that far. So give me the Niners to win at home over the Jaguars. They have Colts at Rams. I'm thinking this is the Colts' first loss of the season. I picked the Rams last week, and they just fell apart in the fourth quarter, but they're going to be looking for revenge. They're out for blood. Colts are a 3-0 team coming into their house. They want to put their first loss on the season on them. They want to be responsible for that. So give me the Rams at home. I mean, Matthew Stafford is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think he's got something to prove. I think they're going to beat the Colts. And, I will say, Colts, they're still a good team. I don't think this loss is going to be exposed. They're frauds. No, they're going on the road in LA to play the Rams. I think the Rams will win, but I think the Colts will make it a respectable game. Up next, we got Bears at Raiders. Oh, man. This game might be the toughest one to predict because the Raiders looked amazing in the first game of the season. Looked like shit in week 2, and they kind of looked like shit in week 3 until the end of the game. Geno Smith has been a massive disappointment. Now, I will say they are better. Well, are they better coached? I don't know, because Ben Johnson was in his bag last week, man. I mean, the Bears were dealing. So are they back? Is Caleb Williams back? You know what? I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid of the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams threw 4 touchdowns last week. Rome Odunze has a score in every game this season. DJ Moore caught a score last week. And I think Luther Burden, their rookie, caught one as well. So I think Caleb Williams is getting more comfortable with Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson is in his fucking bag, man. Give me the Bears on the road. I think the Raiders are falling to 1-4. Or 1-3, sorry. One of these teams are falling to 1-3. So it's going to be an interesting game. There's a lot on the line, which this is something I did want to talk about, was all the 1 and 2 teams that are playing each other. There's going to be some surprise 1 and 3s, and one of them is going to be in this next game. So Ravens at the Chiefs. One of these teams is going to 1 and 3 unless they tie. I swear to God, if they tie, I'm going to be so upset. But I hope to God one of them loses, because either way, my hate watch is, I'm going to have a successful hate watch. Either the Ravens fall to 1 and 3, stay a game below Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, or the Chiefs fall to 1 and 3 and we all collectively laugh at them. So I hope to. Who do I want to lose more? It's crazy because I as a Bengals fan, you think the Ravens, but I actually respect the Ravens. I like watching Lamar play. Some Ravens fans are fun to interact with. I have a couple mutuals on Twitter who are just really chill Ravens fans, and they're respectful about it. And we both acknowledge that we have 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time. So, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this game. I think they'll get it together just because I have more faith in Lamar than Patrick Mahomes, which sounds crazy. But in the regular season, Lamar Jackson's probably the best regular season quarterback of all time. It's up there. So give me the Ravens on the road to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs fall to 1 and 3 panic mode. They got to get the Devil Magic back. But who knows? Maybe this will be the first time they show Taylor Swift. I don't think they showed her yet this year in any Chiefs game. But next we have Packers at Cowboys. This one's rough because the Cowboys have had moments where they've looked like a great elite offense. And they also have last week where they severely disappointed me. And, we have the Packers who looked like the best team in football. And then they have last week. I'm going to choose the Packers because they played the Browns, man. Joe Burrow looked like he was pretty, I won't say shit because he'd throw at least 100 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers, which was enough to beat that defense. But they made QB struggle. They made Joe Burrow struggle. Lamar Jackson struggled. The score was not indicative of how that game went, honestly. And then, they made Jordan Love look like he was shit in the second half of that game, even early on. So I'm going to take the Packers over the Cowboys, though, still. I think Jordan Love's going to bounce back, as he does. Josh Jacobs is going to have himself a game. And I think this is going to be a Dontavian Wicks game. I think Wicks is going to go crazy against the Cowboys. I don't know why. I just have a feeling he's going to get 100 yards probably. I don't know why. It's just a feeling, maybe. Or it's a Matthew Golden coming out party. But the Cowboys, I just don't trust them. And, whoever wins this game, the narratives are going to be insane going forward. If the Cowboys win this game, Jerry Jones gets some heat off of him. So, but, I'm picking the Packers, obviously. I think the Packers are going to win that on the road. Next is Jets at Dolphins. Not going to spend too much time on this one. I will say the Jets with Tyrod Taylor. I love Tyrod Taylor. He's just one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. Not because I think he's amazing, but I just like his story, and he's always been great whenever he's come into play. And he led the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in years. I like Tyrod Taylor. Obviously before Josh Allen, he was there. That's why they did that. Obviously, they get in the playoffs like every year now. But I think this is the get-right game for the Dolphins. I do think they win. I actually picked up Tua in free agency this week for my fantasy team. I think Tua's going to have himself a pretty good game. I don't think he's going to they're not going to blow out the Jets, but I think they could. I think it has that potential because the Jets' defense has been shit so far this year. It's been really bad. And the Dolphins' offense has gotten better. The issue has been in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to take the Dolphins to beat the Jets. I don't feel great about it, but I think they will. And then that leads us to the last game of the week. Bengals at Broncos on Monday Night Football. So, you guys know me. I'm picking Cincy because they're my team. Let me give you the pathway to victory in Denver, right? Here's the pathway to victory. Feed Jamar Chase. Feed him and T. Higgins. Press that defense. I know the ideal situation would be run the football. We can't fucking run the football. We can't do it. That line's going to be all over them. So maybe do a couple quick screens, but trust in, get the ball into your playmaker's hands. Get the ball to Jamar Chase. Put him in some funky formations. Give him like 15 touches in this game. Same with T. Higgins. Give him at least like 7 or 8. Get the ball into your star players' hands and try to get them in space. Trust that. Don't have Jake Browning slinging it over the middle because he clearly can't do it, but try some boundary routes. Try some deep boundary shots or do some small intermediate stuff. But don't have Jake Browning feed the middle of the field. He can't do it. We got to stick to the stick. Stick to the outside. Trust Jamar and T to win those matchups. And if not, put Mitchell Tinsley in. He's proven that he can win those one-on-ones. Now, what do I actually think is going to happen? I actually think the Broncos will probably beat our asses. And Bo Nix is going to have like probably 2 or 3 touchdowns. Everyone's going to be like, see, Bo Nix is a good quarterback. And then it's going to start the debate up all over again. But I'm picking Cincy to win. They're my team. We ride. But anyways, that's all I got for today's episode. I know there was that weird cut in between them. I just had to stitch these together. I had a phone call to answer from my amazing girlfriend. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. The last podcast episode did great compared to the first one. I think first one had like 16 views. Second one was at like 58 last time I checked. So thank you guys. We were progressively going up. If you guys are enjoying the series, be sure to let me know down in the comments section below. And keep coming with your takes. I love seeing your takes in the comments. But you guys all have a great one. And I'll see you guys next time. This is Austin. I'm out. Peace, guys.